I think we're all pretty well aware by this point that Volume 9 is going to be a pretty heavy volume. Every character that fell into the Ever After is going to have to deal with the results of their own failures and shortcomings. Atlas is gone. Team RWBY failed, and especially once, Ruby, Yang, and Blake learns what happened to Penny, there's a lot that is going to happen in this volume. They're all going to have to face their inner demons. And it turns out that they're going to be forced to if they want to escape the Ever After. In that trailer that we got just a couple days ago, it was stated that you don't go to the tree goes to you. So the tree is seeming to be the ticket out of this world, as we all kind of assumed, given that it was at its center, and the world tree, the idea of Norse mythology, was something it seems that the writers had in mind when they were designing the crossroads in and of itself. At least that was what was mentioned in the Volume 8 director's commentary. So, the world tree might be some inspiration for this tree at the center of Ever After as well. But the tree itself is going to pose a test to each of the people who want to leave. Ultimately, I don't think that people are meant to leave the Ever After. By the name of the Ever After alone, if taken literally, forever after also means never before. No going back. People are not meant to go back, at least not in the way that they arrived, not as they arrived, as the person they arrived as. Which also plays into the fairy tale of the girl who fell through the world. She was sad when she returned because she was no longer the same girl anymore. Why was that? I'm now starting to believe that that was because of whatever happened in her trial that the tree gave her. When facing her own inner demons, something about her changed. And I think that's going to be the case with each of the characters that fell into the Ever After. All the members of Team RWBY, Jean, and Neo. Now, for each of these characters, there's going to be a different trial, different inner demons that they will need to face. The most prominent one that we have seen throughout both the teaser back in July as well as the trailer that we just got is Ruby. The concept that she is not the hero she always dreamed to be. She thought her life would play out completely differently. She initially went to Beacon Academy to fight against Grimm, and then when that fell, she went in pursuit of Cinder to Haven, and then got wrapped up in everything the fight against Salem, and well, it wasn't exactly the path that she predicted she would be on, and that is why we see Ruby confronted by a version of her younger self from volumes 1 to 3 when she still held on to those previous ideals. And that's likely going to be the same with every other character that undergoes one of these trials. A version of their younger self is going to appear and confront them with their own shortcomings and their own inner fears and the things that are holding them back. But although it is stated she carries a heavy burden on her shoulders, she's kind of brushing it off, saying, "It's fine, I can handle it." Well, surprise, surprise, as it turns out, she can't. No 17-year-old girl, no 17-year-old in general, hell, no even adult can carry the weight of the world on their shoulders alone. This has been something weighing down Ozpin for centuries at this point, and even he's kind of at a loss to do. So, of course, Ruby is struggling with this, but not willing to admit it openly. She has kind of been pushed into the position of being a leader. She has to be strong for the rest of her team. That was something that was set up in the early volumes of RWBY. And that's something she's tried to persist in even up until now. But her failures have only kept piling up, and it makes sense given the scale of the force that they are up against. They still, even at this point in time, don't truly understand everything about the world, everything about Salem and her goals and what abilities she has. There's just so many things that are unknown and are continuing to pile up, and this is the trial that Ruby is likely going to face. What is she now? She's not a hero. Is she Ruby Rose, or is she going to cast Ruby Rose aside? And that question is very important, because in this trial of the tree, or the trial that they are going to be given when facing their inner demons, I think there's multiple results that could happen given the kind of realizations that characters come to, whether they can actually face their inner demons, or whether they run away, whether they can stay the same person that they are, hold true to their ideals and prevail over those demons, or perhaps they have to adapt and overcome in some different way, thus changing who they are at the core of their being, while still, holding the same ideals and things of that nature. And I think it's likely that we are going to see each of these different choices being made through these trials by different characters. Whether they can somehow stay the same, most likely most of them will adapt in some way, evolve as a person in and of themselves, and thus, probably evolve their semblance as well, gain new abilities, gain new understanding, metaphorical and physical things that will happen along with that, but also I think we might see at least one character, or the results of one character, having run from this trial, having not been able to face their inner demons. That being Jean, and that also being the reason why we haven't seen him thus far in either of the trailers. Because he isn't the Jean we know anymore. But that is something I'm going to discuss in a different video tomorrow. And I'm going to discuss Neo's inner demons in a future video as well, because the changes that I think she's going to go through are going to be very impactful. In this video, I mainly wanted to focus on Team RWBY and the trials that they are going to face, as they are all kind of interconnected and have been foreshadowed since Volume 2. Those questions that Dr. Oobleck asked them. Why do they want to become huntresses? Why is it that they do what they do? And ultimately, why is it that they ended up where they are now? RWBY was never asked that question by Oobleck because she always knew what she wanted to do. She always wanted to be the hero in those stories, always wanted to be a huntress, and that is going to be questioned in this volume. Will she continue on in pursuit of those goals after this trial? Will she be able to make it back to Remnant as the same person as she once was? Or will she come to the realization that she was never the hero, that she is just Ruby Rose and nothing more, and she doesn't need to be anything more? Perhaps she'll make some realization about being a Silver-Eyed warrior, about the destiny that awaits her, though that seems more unlikely, but we'll have to wait and see how that trial plays out for RWBY in Volume 9, as we will have to see for the other 3 members of Team RWBY what exactly their trials are going to be. Not much has been shown about them, though we can come to some conclusions based on what we know about each of the characters, the events that have led up to this point, as well as that conversation that each of them had with Dr. Oobleck back in Volume 2. Yang, the reason that she wanted to become a huntress was for adventure. She's a thrill seeker. She wanted to go around the world not knowing what the next day would bring, and that would be a good thing. I'm pretty sure her mentality has changed now. In fact, I think we did see Yang's kind of trial in the trailer. Yang was standing on a rickety bridge over top of the clouds where it's just essentially a pitfall in front of her. And there's no more boards on that bridge in front of her. She doesn't know the way forward. She doesn't know how to move forward. She doesn't know what the next day will bring, and right now that terrifies her. This is Yang's trial, I think, that she will end up having to face, knowing that there is an unknown in the future. And it's not necessarily a good thing, but as long as she's not alone, she will be able to progress forward. And I think that's why Blake is seen with the same kind of cloudy sky behind her, because I think their trial will be together. That Blake will be able to be there for Yang and help her move forward. And this, I hope, is where we get the Bumblebee moments, where Yang and Blake finally admit that they have feelings for each other, and that will be how they change throughout this volume. Accepting each other's support and love and being able to move forward together. Blake, in fact, I think her trial has kind of already taken place, that she's already faced her inner demons in previous volumes, that being Adam, the White Fang, and inequality. She became a huntress because she wants to stop the inequality. By becoming a huntress, one of the most noble warriors in the world, she could help progress that in some way, shape, or form. She had no idea how to do that back in Volume 2, but considering the kind of scale of the events that they are now involved in, maybe that plays a factor into that. And now that she's been able to move past her connection to the White Fang, and most importantly, she's decided not to run anymore. That was the main concern that she had back in Volume 2, that even her semblance leaves behind an empty shell to take the hit for her while she runs away. She stopped running back in Volume 6. She faced her demons already and has decided where she belongs, with Team RWBY, with her family. So there may not even be a trial for Blake to overcome. There probably is going to be something, but I think Blake, out of all of the members of Team RWBY, is already kind of the most mentally stable. Now, that being said, she did have a huge rage moment when she thought Neo had killed Yang, but once she reunites with Yang, she's going to be complete again and know for sure that she wants to stay with Yang. So I think just reuniting with Yang and being open about her feelings to her is going to be Blake's overall trial of sorts. At least that's my best guess at this point in time, and let me know what your thoughts are going to be down in the comments below for the trial that each of the members of Team RWBY are going to go through. For Weiss, the reason that she became a huntress was out of a sense of duty, knowing that her father tarnished the name of the Schnee Dust Company, and she was not going to let that be the end of it. Well, the Schnee Dust Company kind of doesn't exist anymore. Atlas crashed to the ground. Jacques is gone along with it. But is there going to be a name for Weiss to leave behind in the world? A way to change the public's outlook on the Schnee Dust Company? I think Weiss's trial is mainly going to be focused on family, because it's not the Schnee Dust Company, it's not her duty that's important, it is her family. Remember back in Volume 8, she didn't forget Whitley. Something that Willow told Weiss back in Volume 4. Make sure you don't forget your brother. And I think that's the realization that Weiss is going to come to, that her family is very important to her. So when she gets back to Vacuo, she's going to cherish them a lot more, no longer run from her family, especially now that Jacques is out of the picture. That, I think, is going to be at the center of the, inner demon that Weiss is going to have to face, along with, of course, dealing with the loss of Atlas, the loss of Penny, and the loss of many other things. But at the core of Weiss's being was that sense of duty to the Schnee Dust Company, was that sense of family, and I think that is where things are going to progress. We haven't really seen any hints of that in either the trailer or the teaser thus far, but I'm led to believe that that's probably the way that it's going to go, simply by having that focus on Ruby not being the hero, not living up to the expectations that she had of becoming a huntress, or at least the desires that she had upon pursuing those goals. And I think it's going to be the same for the other three members of Team RWBY, akin to the conversation that they had with Dr. Oobleck back in Volume 2, which, if that is the case, the foreshadowing all the way back in Volume 2 is fantastic and brilliant, and the payoff, I think, is going to be well worth it. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think the trials of Team RWBY are going to be? And I will cover Jean and Neo's in their own video later on, because there's some pretty heavy significance for both of them, I think. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, got you thinking a bit more about what's to come in Volume 9, and if you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe, join the Guild of the Eternal Flame, tweet me at PhoenixKnight7, and I'll see you guys in the next video.